Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. No Quinshon Judkins tonight for the Browns as they open the preseason against the Carolina Panthers. This is a young man that certainly showed during his last year at Ohio State what he's capable of doing. He's a tremendous player on the field, but he's got some issues off the field. And now we learned Wednesday that according to Florida law, you have a right to a speedy trial, which is 60 days. His attorney filed a motion to waive that right. And now it could be any time in the next 175 days from the time he was charged. I was a bit surprised by that, Jay, and I think you were too, because the thinking here would be, let's get this process over. I have a theory as to why they may be drawing it out. What do you think is going on here?
I think our theories probably align. I think I was very surprised by this, and I was with you. I thought, he's not going to play until this is cleaned up. Now, there's a couple different ways to clean it up. Could they be working on a deal? Could they strike a deal that maybe wasn't going to be done in time before his court date? It's just, I don't know.
Where she drops charges.
Where the charges get dropped.
Right.
It could be. I don't know. I don't think he's going to sign a contract or play for the Browns until this is taken care of. And Jimmy Haslam said last week he does expect Quinshon to sign a contract with the Browns.
Was he cautiously optimistic, he said?
No, he was pretty definitive that he believed that he was going to get that he would sign a contract. Didn't put a timetable on as to when. If this thing plays out and there is no deal in this thing, then they just really sort of wrecked his rookie year, I think. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he suits up before this is finalized, but I don't think that would be unprecedented if he did. I think that they have to let this play out. The NFL has to then weigh in. He'll likely be suspended. We saw that last year with Mike Hall. Even if the charges are dropped, the NFL could still say, nope, something happened here. You're going to sit for 5 games, 6 games, whatever it may be.
Right.
So I just wonder, I think that there's more to the story that hasn't come out yet, I guess is the best way.
Yeah, this, when this happened, I don't know all the details, and obviously it's still ongoing investigation, but this said to me, hey, don't get anxious to see Quinshon Judkins soon. Because like Jason said, this is just the legal part. To them, he has to do 3 things before he can play. First, he has to sign a contract. Then he has to figure out what's going on with this case. And then he finally has to deal with the NFL and them opining on what type of punishment it is. So all of those 3 things need to happen, and I don't think none of them are going to start the ball rolling down and the clock to starting until he gets this thing figured out, whether that is they give him a sentence or whether it goes to trial or whether there's some kind of settlement out of court. Who knows? But when I saw this, I was like, Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
You talk about Shedeur Sanders got an opportunity. Dylan Sampson got an opportunity, and I think he was a 4th, 5th round pick himself. So it's some opportunities to go around, but I wouldn't expect to see Quinshon anytime soon.
Which is such a shame because he's a talent. Now, you mentioned Sampson. I like him an awful lot, too. Yeah. And what he did in the SEC at Tennessee should turn some heads, and hopefully he's got a chance to really make a mark on this football team because we're going to need some help at running back. Yeah. I'm with you, Jay. I think that, and I've been saying this all along, I believe that there probably are conversations going on behind the scenes between Judkins' lawyers and perhaps attorneys for the young lady that's at question here about either dropping charges, can they come to some kind of an agreement where he can at least put the legal portion to bed, because you're exactly right, G. There's 3 components here. You've got to handle the legal component, and that is why they're pushing this off. They've been unable to get to it in 60 days. Maybe they think if they get an extension for another 115 days, they can get it done in that window. Then they've got to, of course, sign the contract, and then they've got to wait for the league. Now, this is a bad look on the Browns because for the 2nd straight year, they draft a young man fairly high out of the Ohio State University that faces charges of domestic abuse. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike Hall got 6 games last year. Was it 5 or 6 games? I'm expecting it to be in the same range here this year for Judkins. And that puts you into week 7 if it ends up being 6 and they get it settled before the season starts. I don't know what the case is, but at this point, if you're Judkins 5 last year, thank you, Jay. if you're Judkins and the Browns, you want this over with as soon as possible and get this behind you. That's why I was so shocked that they filed for this extension, which to me, the only reason you would do that is to hope to get it to a settlement, keep it out of the courts, check that box, then check the box of the contract, and then face league justice.
Yeah, because Mike Hall, I think the plaintiff dropped the case.
Correct.
And you can move forward.
I believe that was his fiance.
Yeah, his
they
fiance.
were engaged.
Yeah, so
in the case of Quinshon Judkins, it was a girl that was an acquaintance, but they didn't really have a long-standing relationship. And what's going on behind the scenes, we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, and we'll continue to follow it and give you updates.